The Ladder of Divine Ascent. Step 22. On the Manifold Nature of Vainglory. Some people make a distinction between vainglory and pride, and would assign it its own section. Such would assert there are 8 principal and deadly sins. However, Gregory the theologian and other teachers have listed only 7, and I am inclined to agree. For who has overcome vainglory and still has pride? The distinction between them is as between a youth and a man, or between flour and bread, for one is the beginning and the other is the end. So now that the opportunity presents itself, let us cover the beginning and the end of the passions, that unholy self-respect. For if someone were to attempt to philosophize in detail on this topic, he would be like one who argues about the weight of the winds. Concerning the form, vainglory is an alteration of nature, a corruption of character, a point of reproach, and regarding its quality, it is a waste of work, a squandering of sweat, a loss of wealth, a child of disbelief, the beginning of pride, a shipwreck in the harbor, an ant on the threshing floor, which even though it is small, it has plans for taking all of one's toil and goods. The ant awaits the harvest of the wheat, and vainglory waits for the collection of the wealth of virtue, for one delights in stealing and other in spending. The spirit of depression delights at the sight of growing sin, and the spirit of vainglory at the sight of the growing wealth of virtue. The gateway of the first is an abundance of injuries, and the gateway to the second is a treasury of toils. Look, and you will discover profane vainglory growing up to the very tomb in garments, oils, slaves, perfumes, and similar such items. The sun shines its ray on everyone, and vainglory shines on all undertakings. For example, I am vainglorious when I fast, and I am vainglorious again over my discretion when I ease the fast trying to remain unseen. When I am nicely dressed, I am conquered by vainglory, and when I put on ragged old clothing, I am again vainglorious. When I converse, I am conquered, and when I am quiet again, I am conquered. No matter how I toss this prickly pear, at least one thorn stands upright. A person that is vainglorious is a faithful idolater. He seems to honor God, but he desires to please men and not God. Everyone who engages in attention-seeking behavior is vainglorious. The fast of the vainglorious has no merit, and his prayer is useless, because he performs both for the praise of men. An ascetic who is vainglorious is deceived twice. He tires his body, and he receives no recompense. Who cannot chuckle at the vainglorious laborer who is present at psalmody and is stirred by one passion to laughter and then to weeping for everyone to see? Many times God covers from our sight excellences which we have achieved, but he who honors us, or should say deceives us, opens our eyes through this acclaim, and once our eyes are opened, our wealth disappears. The one who flatters you is a slave of demons, an escort to pride, a wrecker of remorse, a destroyer of virtues, a deceiver. Those who praise you mislead you, says the prophet. People with a lofty spirit take disdain honorably and willingly, but only truly devout and holy people receive praise without injury. I have observed people grieving who, when honored, rose up in anger, and as if at a communal gathering one passion gave way to another. Who among men knows the thoughts of a man, except the spirit that abides within the man? So let those who attempt to honor us to our face be quiet and disgraced. When you hear that your friend or neighbor has slandered you behind your back, or even in your presence, then exhibit love for him and honor him. It is a good deed to shake off the honor of men from your soul, but to reject the glory of demons is even better. It is not the one who belittles himself who displays humility, but the one who gives the same love to the person who reviles him. I have observed the demon of vainglory offering thoughts to one brother, while showing them to another, and he induces the latter to reveal to the first what is in his mind, and then glorifies him as a mind reader. And at times the vile creature even touches the members of the body and produces sensations. Do not be concerned about him when he asserts that you should become a bishop, or an abbot, or a doctor, for it is hard to repel a dog from the butcher's shop. When he observes that any have obtained, to some small degree, a contemplative disposition, he quickly suggests that they forsake the desert for the world, saying, "Depart from here to rescue the souls which are falling away." Ethiopians have one type of face, and statues have another, so too the vainglory of those abiding in community have a different figure, compared to those who abide in the desert. Vainglory urges monks who enjoy light-heartedness to wait for guests to arrive, and then to leave the cloister to greet them. It urges them to prostrate before them, and even though replete with pride, it fakes humility. It looks at the attitude and voice, and maintains an eye on the hands of the guests so as to receive something from them. It uses the names lords and patrons, which are full of godliness. To those reclining at the table it urges abstinence, and it censures servants without mercy. It moves those who are lazy when standing up in psalmody to put forth an effort, and those who lack a voice to become good singers, and the tired to become alert. It lauds the conductor and requests to be allowed the primary position in the choir. It refers to him as father and master while the visitors are still present. Vainglory makes proud those who are favored, but it makes resentful those who are disregarded. Vainglory brings disgrace instead of honor, since it creates dishonor for its angry disciples. Vainglory makes hot-tempered people mild before others. It has high aspirations for natural gifts, and by means of them often throws its unhappy servants to their ruin. I have observed a demon hurt and driven off his own brother, for just at the point a brother had become angry, guests suddenly appeared, and the vile offender resold himself to vainglory. He was not able to serve two passions at the same time. He who has become a slave to vainglory has a double life. In appearance he dwells with monks, but in his mind he is in the world. If we earnestly long to please the heavenly King, we should be zealous to partake of the heavenly glory. The one who has partaken will reject all earthly glory. I would be surprised if anyone could reject the latter unless he had partaken of the first. Many times after being divested by vainglory, we turn and expose it more skillfully. I have observed some who started spiritual works on account of vainglory, and even though they had a foul start, their end was honorable because their motive changed. The one who is boastful about his natural gifts, by which I mean skill, ability to master material, talent in reading, a good pronunciation, keen intelligence, and all such talents received from us without effort, never will receive heavenly blessings, since he who is unfaithful with a few things is also unfaithful and prideful with many. For the benefit of great dispassion, rich talents, miracle working, and the ability to prophesy, many people wear out their bodies to no effect. They do not understand, poor fools, that it is not by labor as much as by humility which is the mother of such virtues. The one who requests from God in exchange for his effort has set an unstable foundation. The one who thinks himself an unworthy debtor will hastily and without warning obtain wealth. Do not trust the wine owner when he urges you to show your virtues for the instruction of those who hear. For what will a man gain if he should bring benefit to the entire world and forego his own soul? There is nothing which so instructs our neighbor as an honest and humble demeanor in speech, for this acts as a goad to others not to be arrogant. And what can be more helpful than this? One who possessed the gift of foresight once related to me what he had observed. At one time, he said, when I was present in the assembly, the demon of vainglory and the demon of pride came to me and sat down on either side of me. One prodded me on my side with the finger of vainglory and suggested that I tell of some vision or deed which I had accomplished in the desert. But when I had driven him off, telling him, "Let them be confounded and set at naught who devise evil against me," then the demon on my other side immediately told me, good job, you have become excellent at overcoming my brazen mother." Turning to him, I used the rest of the verse and said, "Let them be confounded and put to shame that say, well done, well done." And as for my question, how is vainglory pride's mother? He answered, glory lifts up and inflates, and when the soul is lifted up, then pride grabs hold of it, lifting it up to heaven and then throwing it down to the abyss. There is honor that comes from the Lord, for he says, those who honor me, I will honor. And there is honor that is offered to us by means of diabolical tricks. For it is written, woe to you when all men speak well of you. You may be confident that it is the first type of honor when you see it as hurtful, and keep away from it by all means, and keep secret your way of life wherever you travel. But the other will be clear to you when you do something, however insignificant, and then have the desire to be seen by others. Vile vainglory compels us to imagine that we possess some virtue that we do not have, urging us on by the words, let your light so shine before others that they may see your good deeds. The Lord frequently leads those who are vainglorious to a position of meekness by means of disgrace. The start of overcoming vainglory is the imprisonment of the mouth and the love of dishonor. The middle stage is the driving back of every possible deed of vainglory, and the end, if the abyss has a bottom, involves attempting to act in the presence of others so that we are humiliated without actually feeling it. Do not cover up your sins with the notion of removing a stumbling block for your neighbor. Although it is not recommended to apply this treatment in every situation, but it will vary given the character of one's sins. When we summon honor, or when it arrives uninvited from others, or for the sake of vainglory we resolve to follow a particular course of action, we should remember our lamentation, and we should consider the holy fear with which we stand before God in prayer alone. By these means we will surely put rude vainglory out of our presence, if we are indeed interested in how to achieve pure prayer. If this is not enough, then we should quickly recall our end, and if this also does not work, then let us at least fear the embarrassment that comes from honor. For the one who elevates himself will be humbled, not only there, but indeed here also. When our flatterers or our tempters bring glory upon us, let us quickly bring to mind our many sins, and we will discover ourselves not worthy of such praise either in word or deed. Certainly there are some prayers of vainglorious people that merit being heard by God, but the Lord has the practice of knowing their prayers beforehand, so that their arrogance should not be inflated because their prayers have prevailed. Those who are simple are not as contaminated with the venom of vainglory, for vainglory is the loss of simplicity and a false manner of life. Many times it happens that when a worm is fully grown it acquires wings and lifts itself up high, so also when vainglory grows it begets pride, the start and the maturity of all evil. He who lacks this illness is close to salvation, but the one who is not at liberty from it is distant from the glory of the saints. The 22nd step. The one who is not seized by vainglory cannot fall into that vile pride which is so detestable to God.